Hi everyone, welcome to another YouTube video on my channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Julie Ann Fay and I'm a professional astrologer and certified angel card reader, and I have a fairy themed business which you can find at julieannfay.com. So I'm here to give guidance, another energy report guidance for this particular new moon in Cancer, which has also solar eclipse energy attached to it. It's a pretty hot and heavy intense energy. I myself have had a very chaotic, stressful, and traumatizing day. I am still kind of coming off of the significant amount of stress I went through earlier with a series of events. And at the same time, I know that helping others and being of service to others and talking about energy also brings me joy. And I'm sure if I'm going through these things, other people are going through these things. So I still wanted to show up to provide healing, love, and light to talk about what's going on, because there is a lot going on and it is pretty intense, and it's important that we talk about it. So in this particular Fae report, I will be doing an astrological walkthrough of the chart for this new moon, and I also will be doing a pick-a-card. So I'm just going to kind of intuitively tune in to what makes the most sense here to go over first. I'm just going to use my pendulum and ask for the highest and best good of all. Is it best that I'm just smiling because my Mother Mary, I have a lot of oracle cards on my desk and a bunch of them fell down, and my Mother Mary one is peeking out. So I definitely did need to see that right now. She's an ascended master mentor that I've previously worked with. So at this present time, all things considered, is it in my highest best interest for us to talk about astrology first, or do a pick a card first? Okay, we're gonna do a pick a card first. That's going to change things up a little bit. And if you are here for just pick a cards, the way that this works is that I will intro all the piles, and then down below in the description of this video, I will include timestamps to each pile so you can advance to the one that's most relevant for you. And then if you're here for astrology and only astrology, I will also put a timestamp to when the astrology starts, and you can advance to that. If you're here for all the above, which I do hope you are, you can, watch this video in entirety using the timestamps to navigate to your pick a card, and then, continuing on with the Astro. So let's get into the pick a card. What I've done is actually put these on their own little, oh, this might actually not work out as I thought. But I've got the pick a cards here. Yeah, this isn't going to work out. Sadness. I'll just have to hold them up for you because I've got crystals and everything's falling down. It's just not going to be good. So every pile has a different energy signature. So when I hold up the back of the cards, you're going to be able to tune into that energy signature. So what I would encourage that you do is take a couple deep breaths. Do that 2 more times. And just using your intuition, you might get a sensation in a specific part of your throat or your stomach or even your hands. You can even use your hands to run them over the screen and feel which one. You get the sensation of which pile is right for you. And I'm also going to participate. So I've got a pile as well. So let's tune into the energy signature for pile number 1. So this is pile number 1. If you are drawn to that pile number 1, don't worry about the way the cards look or how many cards are in each. It's actually really just about the energy signature. So this is pile number 1. I also will try to hold them all up together so that you can look at them all in the same grouping. This is pile number 2. If you are drawn to this pile number 2. And this is pile number 3. If you are drawn to this pile, pile number 3. And then let's look at them all together. So we have pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. So let's get into it. So if you picked pile number 1, these are the cards and messages for you. I also want to just do a general disclaimer that if you are tuning into these pick-a-cards, do make sure that you use your intuition as you're listening to this. Sometimes, because I am channeling energy messages for a collective group of people, not everything that I say will apply to you in a given, even though you pick that pile, there might even still be some nuances that don't exactly apply to you. So make sure you are present during this time and tuning into your intuition. And of course, if something doesn't resonate with you, just kind of let it be, and you can always come back. You can pick a different pile, or maybe it's just meant to sink in at a different time, or maybe just that particular aspect is not right for you, but the other messages are. So be present as you're listening and use your intuition, during the process of listening to these messages. So pile number 1, peeps, these are the messages for you. Let's get into it. And I really do my best to not, I do, I pre-pull the specific piles, but I do my best to not look at the cards beforehand so I can be equally as surprised as you guys are, and that's part of the fun. So we have several different cards here, and by the way, the decks that I'm using are DV's Life Purpose Oracle deck, DV's, which if you're in the spiritual community, you know who I'm talking about, Ascended Master Oracle deck, and then Radley Valentine's Animal Tarot deck. I've actually used this deck so much that the title is actually worn off. So first we have author. You have a book inside of you that wishes to be expressed. Make the time to write it. Now I'm getting the sense that this might not be literal. It could be for some people writing a book, literally actually writing the book, but I'm getting the sense that this is about verbal expression and expressing yourself, whether this be through journaling just privately with yourself, or poetry, or blogging. But there's a need here for you to cathart and to release thoughts and feelings from your head into writing. We have White Buffalo Calf Woman Peace Offering from the Ascended Master Oracle deck. And this is about what would bring you back to a status of peace. What would be a way that you could bring more peace into the situation? Maybe there's something going on in your immediate environment, or there's conflict in your home, or even just within yourself that is very tumultuous. And what is it energetically that you could do within yourself to get to more of a place of peace, and then also be present in that energy of peace for others? We have to also be the embodiment of that peace first for ourselves, right? We have Kuan Yin, Let It Go. So there's definitely some stuff going on here for those of you that pick this pile. There's a lot of tense energy. So letting it go, having self-compassion, for what was, and being present now in what is. I can definitely resonate with this message. We have Queen of Spring, Persian Cat. Don't underestimate your ability to manifest your dreams. You may have several priorities vying for your attention at once, but you can do it. And you could see that this, there's one cat here who's kind of on the throne. And then we also have 2 little kittens that are below the throne, and there's actually a crown that's there. Also, we have a lot of imagery in this card. We have the moon, the crescent moon, we have the sunflower. I mean, that's so appropriate for what we're going through, because we have a new moon in Cancer, and we are also on the summer solstice. This is a hinging point in the Wheel of the Year. I do follow the pagan holidays and the Wheel of the Year, and this is a hinging point for the next 6 months ahead. So this is a very important energetic cycle that we are initiating for the next 6 months, as well as this new moon, Cancer, which is cardinal water. So this is initiating new feelings, new energies, but it's got that eclipse energy attached to it. So there's a lot of change coming in. There's a lot of shifting things here. So you might be feeling like, okay, I'm stepping into a new level of nurturing or loving myself, but at the same time, you feel torn because there are different things competing with your desires to be more emotionally and nurturing and supportive to yourself. There's things pulling at you from different directions, So we do have an energy here of like, have a lot of self-compassion for yourself in that process, because you actually are bringing more peace into your life. Even though it might not look like it right now, you actually are bringing more peace into your life. And part of what may also help you during this transition into more and more peace in your life, in addition to that self-compassion and potentially working with the Ascended Masters, is also to really write out and express your feelings. If it's not safe to express those feelings to specific people, it could just be as simple as journaling, journaling, communicating with your angels, journaling and communicating with the Ascended Masters, your guardian angels, whomever you believe in. We have energy healing, so this card does talk about this as part of a life purpose, but I'm getting the sense that this is just saying that you are going through kind of like an energy upgrade, In this card, she's got these blue wings, and then the blue wings actually stop at the top and they turn into white. So this is a lot of change and transmutation from the throat chakra into the uppermost chakras, which are purple, and then eventually becomes into white, which is all that is. And all of her chakras are aligned here. So I feel like you're working on this sense of like total alignment of your chakras. So you're going through this overhaul almost energetically, so it's like no wonder you feel kind of pulled and torn in different directions, because you've got a lot that you're shifting and changing, and it could be making you feel like you don't have a good sense of inner peace. But sometimes in the process of kind of changing and shifting things in our life, we have to go through this stage of chaos before we can then move into more of that, in biology, we would call it homeostasis, or just this like, stable kind of neutral state. And then we have Six of Summer, Goose. The love and care of children can become an important part of your life, or people from your childhood may return to it. Old memories can be healed. This is just a very nostalgic card. There is more to the card, but this carries the energy of children. So this can also be for children, so pets. It's not showing up too well here. There we go. But if you can see, there's two little chicks there, and then there's a mama goose, and then there is this big water tank in the background. So this card is about definitely children and taking care of children, whether they be for children or humans, it doesn't really matter, but the taking care of others, which is very Cancerian. And then this also carries the energy of examining the past and things that may have happened during our childhood, or even just things in our past. This can be a nostalgic card about past relationships, or just kind of looking back onto the past. And we need to be cautious that we do that in a way that informs things that maybe we need to energetically heal, but doesn't keep us trapped or stuck there. So just because something may have occurred in our childhood or our past doesn't mean that it has to continue to be in our present now reality. Yes, it's true that there is trauma there from that, but we get to say, okay, there is this trauma and I'm working on energetically healing it. And because I'm doing that, I don't have to stay there. I don't have to stay bonded or have cords of attachment to be stuck to that in my now reality. And if that feels very like, challenging for you to hear, it might be because you're still in a process of moving into that space of detoxing some of those childhood wounds. I'm getting the sense that this pile needs a little bit more loving. So let's pull an extra card here for pile number 1, peeps. Angels, what do we need to know for pile number 1? We need to know for pile number 1 for continued clarity. Got 2 cards that came out, but they've stuck together. I'm not down for that. I want some fresh energy cards here. I'm even thinking about what I went through earlier today and how this almost relates to the energy in this pile. It's like I did go through some really upsetting, nightmarish scenarios earlier today. And at the same time, I am here now enjoying the energy and the presence of being in this space doing this. So it's to say that, our past reality doesn't always have to dictate our now reality. We get to choose our new now reality every moment. Every moment is a fresh moment, and we get to keep creating a new. Doesn't mean that what happened wasn't real or that there isn't healing work to be done on it, but it's like we can't kind of create the new if we stay stuck on the old. So let's pull, we've got one extra card here, and then let's pull another one from Ascended Masters as well. I'm actually just going to keep these boxes open. All right, so another bonus card for clarity for pile number 1, peeps. What do we have here? What do we need for additional clarity? So good. Follow your heart, St. Francis. And as most of you probably know, St. Francis was the patron saint of animals. So this is about protection and love and care and feeding of animals and, you know, just little ones that need our help, you know, and this is like a very Cancerian energy once again, but also this carries the energy of like, look how he's sitting there with his hand on his heart. I don't know if you guys can see that too good. But he is sitting there and he has a hand to his heart. So this is like, follow your heart, what feels good in your heart chakra. And actually Cancer does rule, you know, the lungs and the heart. In fact, I actually have an astrology post, a blog post on my site, juliannefay.com, where I do talk about astrology and the parts of the body. That would be a really fun read, especially with those retro energy, to go back and relook at that. What parts of the body are associated with which sign, because they do go in depth for all 12 zodiac signs and then parts of the body for those. So definitely check that out. So following your heart. So my heart told me to show up and do this video, to record this video, because I felt like, intuitively, I felt like it would bring me joy. It would bring me joy to, you know, adorn myself and get ready for this video, and that's showing itself to be true. So follow your heart, you know. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. And then from Animal Tarot, we have Four of Autumn. Four of Autumn. So this is a card about being cautious of like where your energy is going. So this is there's a couple cards in, you know, the different decks I have that are cards that are cautionary extreme cards. We actually had one of them come up in the last Pick a Card Bay report that I did. I believe it was in that and not the other Pick a Card. I'm not sure, but it says, consider, for example, whether you are spending too much versus hoarding your wealth, or giving too much emotionally versus building walls that keep people out, living a life of extremes, or seeing things in black and white terms. And you can see that the squirrel is like, you know, mine, 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 mine. Now, sometimes we are justified to be saving, right? Saving is a very important and sometimes challenging practice to implement, which is saying, you know what, I do have these assets and I need to preserve them. I need to protect them and keep them safe because I will need them in the future. That's an important skill to have. On the other side of the coin, it's also, you know, this, I'm also noticing that in this card, there is a squirrel in the background who's sleeping. Right there, you can see him there. And then there's one that's awake. So this could also just be like a caution about, is there somebody in your immediate environment who's kind of like asleep? You know, they're not conscious. And because they're not conscious, it's like they behave in a very different way than you would. And as a result of that, it makes you feel like you have to contract your energy in and you have to protect yourself, because what's around you, what's surrounding you is a little bit uncertain. You don't know when this energy is going to be asleep and when this energy is going to be awake, and it's a little bit like keeping you on edge. So, you know, this could be a card too of just like energetic extremes that you're dealing with and you are in and around. So for you, this continued practice of detoxing and clearing your energy is going to be super important for you as you navigate through healing these wounds, you know, around the situation, expressing how you feel, and really just trying to move into a space of like, okay, I'm letting that go now. I don't have space for that anymore in my life. I'm letting it go and I'm moving towards peace, like it or not, whether they like it or not, or even whether, you know, parts of me like it or not, I'm moving towards peace. And in that process, I can become more like this Queen of Spring, where I am like more confident, you know, and yellow is the solar plexus chakra. So this is about self-confidence, you know, and also balancing work and play. So That's what you're moving into. But in this process, you have to do a lot of self-compassion work and just be very forgiving of yourself for this process. You're healing a lot of intense things. So you need to be very compassionate with yourself about what those things are and that they're real and that you are actively healing them and transmuting them and moving into more and more states of peace. So I'm sending you all so much love, pile number 1. Fairy kisses. And if you love this section of this pick a card, please, please continue. Feel free to scroll ahead to the astrology section of this video, and please, please give this video a like. Feel free to comment down below what pile you picked and how it was for you, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Okay, pile number 2 peeps. Let's talk about the cards we have for you. I'm going to take a sip of my limeade. And I actually am feeling called to reanoint with this Earth Magic roller ball that I made. So I'm going to say what I said also for pile number 1. If there's particular messages that come through that don't resonate with you, it could be that it's just certain parts of that message don't apply to you, you know, and or maybe it's not the right time for you to hear that. So it would be good for you to come back and re-listen to this recording at a different time, maybe pick a different pile or re-listen and see if it's different for you. I always find that practice so fascinating. I come back to things I've listened to before and I do receive and pick up different energy about it because our energy is shifting and changing all the time. So take what resonates, leave behind what doesn't, and make sure that you're present during this reading and that you are using your intuition to tune in, you know, to what you really, what's really resonating for you, you know. So let's get into it. Pile number 2 peeps, these are the cards for you. So good. I don't look at the cards. I do intuitively pick the piles, but I don't look at the actual cards until I get on camera because I like to be surprised along with you guys. So we have time to decide. Make a decision based on your heart's true desires. Time to decide. Now, what's interesting about this is that she's got lots of numbers swirling around her. She has all of these different options swirling around her. And she's actually kind of isolated one out and she's grabbing it and she's saying, okay, I choose you, you know? So this is a card about finding the path and being precise and saying, yes, I'm grabbing this one. So this can be a card about seizing opportunities. Like if an opportunity is coming across your path and you're like, should I, kind of, maybe, sort of, this is the card that is encouraging you, like, commit and do it, you know, just like decide you're going to do it. But let's see where the cards are going because sometimes the cards have nuances, especially in the context of what the other cards are. We have yoga. Your life is enhanced by yoga, stretching, and exercise. This was also a similar message for pile number 1, which they had energy healing. You know, so this is about really understanding the sacred science behind your chakras and how can we be doing work to clear our chakras. And yoga is one of the ways that we can actively work on unblocking chakras and clearing chakras. So this is just emphasizing the importance of your yogic practice and how that really helps you with grounding your energy, moving through pain, unblocking chakras, and making decisions, and how vital that is for you. We have fertility, Pan. So this is saying that, you know, this has kind of like an Ostara vibe to it a little bit here, which those of you that do follow the Wheel of the Year, you know that that is similar, has some, you know, attributes with Easter in the Catholic tradition, but actually comes before Easter. Technically, the Catholic tradition stole a lot of things from the pagan tradition, but anyway. So this is saying that, you know, you're in a fertile state. So things are coming your way. You're receptive to opportunities and things are beginning to like kind of, you know, seed and sprout here. So this is good. We work your magic, Saint Germain. So again, this card, this is kind of like magician energy, you know, so you are manifesting things. You can see that there's the Merkaba there. It's not really showing up too good. Kind of see it a bit there. So there is the energy of that Merkaba and it's, you know, sacred geometry. So this is like alchemy in action. You are working the energy. You're working certain, you know, formulas and strategies, and it's working for you, and you are in a fertile period with this. So you are making some magic happen. I think that's why this card is affirming, like, you have a lot of options because you're doing this work. You're doing this manifestation work. So you're bringing in these opportunities to you. And soon you're going to get to a place where you're going to have to decide and narrow them down. But it's pretty cool that you're doing a lot of manifestation work to bring them in, you know. I'm talking really fast, so I'm going to take a moment. Okay. We have Queen of Winter. So this is kind of like Queen of Swords energy here. You know, it says, all your life experiences have prepared you for this moment of truth. It's time to declutter your home, clear away situations that aren't working for you anymore, and disengage from people who create more drama than happiness. I can relate to this card so much. So this is like, you can see that this leopard, you know, she has her crown there. She's got that crown on her head, and she's like chilling on her log. So she's like, you know what? This is the card of like, I indulged in your problems for way too long, and like, this is not my problem. So this is the card of like sharp intellect and wit, but also boundaries. This is not necessarily a card that's like, you know, this is definitely not like the Queen of, you know, like the Queen of Cups. This is more like sharp, witted, intellectual, precise, like, hey, I have boundaries, and they're also communicating what those boundaries are. This also, what I also like about this card is just this sense of like detox and clearing. So this is a card that also nudges us like, hey, what can you clear away that's old in your space? I know I've been doing this. I've been asking my angels to help me find one thing every day that I can donate, recycle, sell, or just discard. And it's like therapy, getting rid of things. Sometimes I'm just like, angels, I know there's more. I know there's more, you know? And I think it's because sometimes we are attached to things. So I feel like my angels know I need to kind of go about this process slowly. But even just one little thing, like a particular, you know, a card that you no longer need, or just old papers, like it could be something small, but just that physical act of like, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this today, can be really healing. And it can help us feel like we're having more assertiveness, more confidence in our life, because we're saying, yeah, no more with this, you know. Then we have Five of Summer. Focus upon the fact that God loves you and always has the best of intentions for you. A positive outlook makes it easier to recover from life's little difficulties so that you can move onward and upward. So the way that Radley Valentine explains this card is, you know, if you guys can see, there's a dragonfly that's on this flower here. And he talks about how dragonflies, they live on the land as well as in the water. So this is a card about managing your earthly needs with also your emotional needs. And this is about, you know, balancing your emotions and also focusing on your emotional body as well as your physical body. So we do have that yoga card that came up there. And, you know, this is a great way to integrate those two polarizations between the physical body's needs and the emotional body's needs. Because when we do yoga, what we're doing is we are working the physical body, but we're also freeing up energy blockages in the body, which then releases emotions, you know. One of my cards just dropped, but I don't know where it went. I'm getting so inspired after I finish this. I totes gotta do. I have a regular Kundalini yoga practice, and lately I haven't been doing it as often, so I definitely got to do some yoga here. Tuning into this pile, because I did pick this pile. And I feel like we need a little bit more oomph for this pile and people that pick this pile. So I'm going to pull one more card here. And we have, you guys, pile number one had a similar, so if you are resonating with this pile and you were torn between pile number one and pile number two, I suggest you also watch pile number one, because there's a couple common notes between you two guys. So we have writing. There was a card, a very similar card in pile number one's cards. So this is saying you heal, inspire, teach, and entertain with the words that you write. So this is saying that through journaling, through blogging, through some way that you're expressing yourself in writing, this is a very healing practice for you. And there's actually almost like ways that you actually heal, nurture, and support others through doing that. So to keep at that, there's something there that's very healing to you. So whether it be journaling or publicly blogging, you know what's right for you as you're listening to this. There's something there that's supportive to you guys and helpful to you guys. So, and that yoga card's back on the front. So yoga and writing are recommendations for you. So clutter clearing, decision making, but understanding that you're doing some good work. You're doing some good work, so keep at it, because you're working your magic and it's working. You're attracting opportunities to you and you're in this kind of fertile flow state with it. So keep at it. Keep at it. Okay, and pile number 3, if you picked pile number 3, let's look at the cards that we have for you. So same rules apply that I was sharing about to my pile number 1 and pile number 2 peeps. As you're listening to these messages, make sure that you are present and you're also tuning into your intuition. Sometimes because I'm channeling for a large group of people, not every part of the message will apply to you. So be tuning in which part of this is right for me, you know, and also the understanding that maybe some messages might be like not quite sitting right, and especially with all this retrograde, sometimes it can be challenging to integrate new information. So make sure that you also just kind of surrender, let it be what it is, and if need be, you can come back and re-listen. I strongly suggest that people do go back and re-listen or re-watch pick-a-cards, because you'll get different energy from it. You might pick a different pile and get a new experience with it when you come back around to it. So use some of those kind of tools and tricks to help you as you're tuning in here. So let's see what we've got. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to come right out with it, right out of the gate. I'm drawn to these 2 cards. We have family, this family card here. Not everything is coming through too good here. But this is basically just, they're in this kind of forest scene, and we have a mother and child. We have the angels looking on, and we have, you know, this father figure here and this little boy that's like running into his arms. And then we have see the other person's point of view. So this is definitely an interesting combo. Let's see where this is taking us. But this is saying that in certain dynamics that you are ensnared in, I think is a good word, sometimes it can be very challenging to be like, how do you not see my point of view? So this is encouraging us to look at it from their side of the story. Why would they be behaving this way? Why would they be acting this way? You know, not to say that you stand for that or that you believe in that, acting that way, but just to witness, like, why would they be acting this way? Could you possibly understand why, you know? And we have come out of the closet. Now, this doesn't have to mean, you know, the traditional meaning of it. This could just be that there might be secrets that are coming out, things that maybe like you weren't fully aware of, and now it's like, okay, this is clear what this is, you know. I have a feeling this pile is going to need a little bit extra cards, so I'm probably going to pull some extra cards for you. And that's been the theme, actually. I pulled extra cards for the other 2 piles too. But we have power of joy. So I get the sense that it's like there's a lot of heavy energy here. And in fact, when I first pulled the cards, I actually pulled pile 3. And then when I came back on, when I actually started doing this recording, I pulled pile 2. So some parts of this are resonating with me, and then other parts were for pile 2. So if you're also drawn to more than one pile, that's how you can kind of work the energy too. You can listen to one and then go back and listen to the other and mix and match different parts of it that resonated. So there can be this like difficulty accessing a place of joy and a status of joy while you've got these like very intense dynamics going on in your immediate situation with certain people. We have 8 of Autumn, Parrot. It's the perfect time to learn all you can by returning to school, taking a seminar, or conducting research. Do your best work, and the law of attraction will bring you prosperity and career advancement. So this is saying that you would do well to study some metaphysics about, but I'm also getting the sense too, even like psychology, like, you know, this kind of how people project, right? So there's projections where like people have subconscious things going on and they're not fully integrated. excuse me, they're not fully integrated with what those things are. So they project those things onto other people. So this could be like a lot about personal development and self-awareness, that you are studying and integrating a lot of teachings with that, learning, understanding yourself, why I behave this way, maybe why this person could act this way. There's a lot of learning going on here, you know, about what this is really. And I think that you are at a status with it where it's like, yeah, there's no more denying like the reality. You know, this is like, the truth has come out. You know, the secrets maybe that were kind of like hidden or buried, they're out, you know. And this is saying that you're pretty aware of where this other person stands, like what their behaviors, what their patterns are. And maybe this is related to someone that's, you know, blood family, or, you know, could be soul family, or even like a work family. But this is a situation where it's like someone in your immediate environment that you have this like, you know, there's a strong association there that's like beyond just a friendship and not necessarily romantic. And then we have renewal. It's time to get clarity about your life purpose and make changes so that you're on the path most like divinely suited for you. Forgive what has been without judgment and fearlessly embrace what's to come. So this is a card that's kind of like an awakening card. You know, it's saying like these little raccoons are like emerging out of their hole. They are a little family here. So maybe you're acknowledging, you know what, these behaviors that I've observed from, you know, these familial patterns, these ancestral wounds, I'm pretty aware of what they are, and I don't subscribe to them anymore. You know, I'm choosing what's joyful in my life. What does that look like for me in my life, you know? And this can be traumatic when these things are coming up to the surface, because it's always easy to like have things be stuffed down and have like, you know, kind of this, you know, these hidden secrets. But ultimately, when something is so denied and suppressed, we actually can't heal it. We have to bring it up to the light and expose it for what it is in order to really kind of heal from it, you know, and acknowledge what it is, and then move beyond, move past it, right? So let's pull a couple extra bonus cards for pile number 3 peeps. And like I said, not all of the components of this message may apply to you, so tune in energetically to what's resonating for you, and please come back to, you know, this this recording and listen to other parts of the message. I love replaying my pick-a-cards. I will play them in the background when I'm feeling kind of sad and just like need a boost, and my intuition will know when to like tune me into a particular phrase that I'm saying, because I need to hear that particular phrase. Or sometimes I just auto scroll and I practice it that way too. There's so many ways you can use these videos. It's really cool. You can use a pick a card video like a divination tool, you know, no cards required. Okay, so we've got Purification, White Tara, which really aligns with some of this energy here about, all right, I see things more clearly now. You know, I see things for what they really are. And the challenge with that is getting to a space of like holding, like witnessing that space without feeling like you have to attach to the involvement of it. So this is like about detoxification, which is like boundary setting and, you know, looking at how can you detox your body, or how can you just detox things that aren't healthy for you. We have light and love. Your purpose is to bring divine healing, light and love to the world. So you're trying to call in more light and love. You know, the reason why we have the purification card and the light and love card, it's like you need to let go of this dark energy, this like stuck karmic shiznit around you, because it's you know, it's holding you down and it's dimming your light, you know. And then we have oracle cards. You're able to discern answers and guidance for yourself and others. Oracle cards. So the presence of oracle cards is really supportive to you, is very nourishing to you. Maybe you are a card reader yourself, or maybe you pull cards. This is affirming that that can be a good practice for you, a healthy practice. Certainly consuming pick-a-cards and watching other, you know, YouTubers doing pick-a-cards is a great way to get started with understanding about energy and oracle cards and how they work. You don't want to become dependent though on pick-a-card readers. You also want to be able to tune into those messages for yourself, you know. This could also be a nudge. So at the same time that it's like watch for dependency of pick-a-card peeps, it happens to the best of us. We go on a pick-a-card binge. I've done it. And I'm a certified angel card reader. on the flip side, there could also be this nudge that it's like, maybe it's time for you to get some professional oracle card guidance. You know, maybe there's a need for you to have someone professionally hold space for you. If that particular piece of the story is calling to you, I do private readings, and you can find out more about that below, you know, going to my website, juliannefay.com, and then /cards will bring you right to all my card offerings. I also have a monthly membership group that I do, Fearlessly Fairy, which is like a really low cost way to, they're not personalized, they're not private readings, but I do give you a particular message for each week, and there's a Facebook group and a discount on private readings, lots of goodies with that. So there's a need here for you to acknowledge that you are going through some type of energy detox, perhaps with people in your immediate circle, and this is serving you in a way to expand your personal joy and your personal, almost like your vibratory frequency. You know, you are like, I want to be high vibe. I don't want to be sucked in or pulled down to these negative vibrations anymore. So you're like, okay, how do I purify? How do I up level here? And I think this is requiring you to kind of do, you know, a lot of like, okay, you know, what's it going to take? How do I have to adjust my life? What do I have to detox? What do I have to get rid of? What do I have to say no to in order to move from here to where I want to be? And also within that, are there things I need to learn? You know, are there gaps between like where I am now and where I want to be? And is there some type of thing I need to learn to fill in that gap, you know? So there's many different angles here. I'm getting the sense to pull even more cards for you guys. So let's do it. The last pile here. So pile number 3, peeps, what further messages do we need for pile 3? Okay, we've got that one pretty strongly. Let's pull another one from this. Oh my gosh, you guys had an extra card, and I totally, how funny. I totally missed it, and it was over there. So we have, oh, this damn card keeps coming up, and I'm just like, grr. This artistic expression by Paul the Venetian. I swear I've pulled this card so many times lately. If anybody wants to chat in the comments about the Ascended Master, Paul the Venetian, let's talk about him, because I don't know that much about him, but it keeps coming up. So, you know, this is like, if I just intuitively look at the card, I do see a lot of rose energy, which is associated with Mother Mary. And how funny, he's coming up so crystal clear, whereas the other cards didn't come up that clear. So this is a lot about, you know, this could also be Archangel Ariel, because she's associated with the color pink. This can be, you know, Mary Magdalene as well, you know, the Order of Magdalena with the rose. So there's a lot that is associated with, you know, the heart chakra here, and just like, again, leading from the heart. What does your heart tell you about this situation? What is your heart guiding you towards? What do you feel like would bring more light and love into the world? Maybe there's part of you that's like, okay, I know I need to study some stuff, but I don't really know what. And this is saying the answer to what you should be working on or studying right now might actually be what brings more light and love to the world. And it might be something like not like you think. I'm kind of going through something a little bit like this myself, where like, I didn't think I would be doing this one thing, but I realized increasingly now, maybe I should. Not that I want to shit on myself, but like maybe it would be good for me to do it, because it actually does bring a lot of light and love into the world. And there's even a way that I can bring an artistry into that, you know? So there's something there where like you are trying to figure out, what is it that I need to like, you know, understand or do more of, because it brings in more light and love into the world. And it might have this kind of, you know, it could have a creative vibe, or it could just be this like, what is your heart telling you is that thing, you know? And then we have leadership. This was the card that was left behind, which is take charge of the situation. So this is like a very Joan of Arc card, you know? And this card is saying that, you know, the story of Joan of Arc is like, she was getting these messages, right? And she was taking action upon these messages to do certain things. And it required so much courage and bravery for her to take action on those intuitive downloads she was getting. And then ultimately, of course, she met a lot of pain and, you know, challenge from people because she was a woman and they didn't want her to be in that position and things like that. So this is about feminine leadership too. How can you lead as, you know, that divine feminine energy? How can you lead from a place of strong, beautiful strength, feminine strength, you know, and say, okay, I need to be strong for myself. I need to listen to what my needs are for my kind of myself and my reality, so then I can then move into spaces in which I can impact, influence, and help others because I am strong. So if you pick this pile, there's a lot of energy here, and I really do get the sense that you are managing a lot of complex energy dynamics. I'm gonna pull one more card for you guys just because I feel like we need a little bit more. But there are a lot of nudges here, you know, a lot of things that are coming up and out, and you're just going through this real process of awakening about it. And I think probably at the time you're listening to this message, you're already aware of what those things are that are coming up and out and what the level of awakening is about. I think you're kind of already clear on what that is. So this card is more so, what is it that I need to fix in my mind? What is it that I need to understand in my mind that is going to move me from where I am to where I want to be? And it's something around you getting in alignment with what you need to learn, study, you know, do more of. And this, that's a lot of cards, angels. I don't want to pull that many. Something that you need to learn, study, align, do more of. And this thing that you need to do more of is somehow aligned with your heart chakra. It's actually healing to others and helpful to others in some type of way. So just intuitively, as you're listening to this, tune in and see what could be coming up for you. Maybe you're thinking about a specific opportunity or a specific person or a specific mentor that kind of comes to mind as I'm talking about this. Let's see if we have, there's so many cards I wanted to come through, but let's see if we have some extra kind of bonus messages here. There are a lot of cards come out. So we have Three of Winter. You know, this is like the Three of Swords card. So it says you may need a little time to heal, but once you work your way through the emotions, you'll be stronger than before. So this is just acknowledging your pain, your sadness around a lot of this situation that you're in. It's confirming that these are real, painful, challenging feelings that are being worked through here. And some of that might require you to go into a period of a little bit of isolation and contemplation. I'm getting the sense not too long, maybe just like to take the night off or to take even the whole weekend and just unplug and be like, okay, I need to kind of get back to my center. What is my kind of higher self telling me, and really kind of like recharge your energy. But ultimately, you know, we've got Cow, the planning, resources, and efforts you've invested in your dream will reap great rewards. In the meantime, have patience and meditate on your next steps. So this is just really affirming that this is like very Taurian energy, and this is like Seven of Pentacles here. So the hard work, the patience, the persistence you're putting in to learn this craft or maneuver these changes in your life, it's paying off. It's very slow progress, you know. With Jupiter in Capricorn, not surprising, things are moving at a snail's pace. And then we have, you know, Two of Winter, procrastination and worrying what others will think is blocking you. You know, if you're torn between your own desires and someone else's, follow your own inner guidance. So this is just saying, like, if other people are trying to push you or force you to do things a certain way, nuh-uh, you know what's best for you. There is a time and a place for us to receive mentorship, healing, and guidance. So this is not to say like you're completely devoid of like needing help from those people. It's just saying that, you know, sometimes you actually do better to say, look, like, I know my pain a little better than you do, and my higher self knows how to heal me and help me move out of this pain. So what I actually might need is for you to respect my boundary that I do need some personal space right now. And ultimately, I think all of this work that you're doing is super going to pay off, because you do have this, you know, Seven of Autumn card here with the Cow, which is saying patience and persistence, you know, and it will pay off. It's just moving at a slow pace. But then you also have Nine of Summer, right? Which is like this wish comes true card. So it says, now's the time when your dreams come true. It's got the genie lamp and it's like really happy Pomeranian. And it says, don't worry about how this will happen. Just give gratitude to God for all you have and all that's still yet to come. So this is a little bit of like the Make-A-Wish card, but this carries a bit more of a like, you know, wishes, wishing, some type of wish you have is coming closer and closer now to fruition. You know, it's a little bit like the Star card, but it's a little bit more like solidified and crystallized. The Star card is like, you know, a general message of hope and optimism and like have hope, have faith that it's going to be okay, that there's positive energy here in your future. This card is a little bit more like, yeah, we kind of got it, like we're clinching it, you know. So look how many cards I pulled for you guys. So many cards. So yeah, you guys are people that pick this pile. There's a lot of energy here shifting and changing. I'm actually, this is so many cards in itself. I'm just going to shuffle this little deck and see. Yeah. So there's some stuff here where it's like you're clear. You're clear on these other sides of the story now, and you're really choosing to like continue working the plan. And you know, this might be related to people very close to you. You're choosing to continue working this plan. How can I move into greater frequencies of light and love? How can I ultimately purify and detach from any toxic bonds that are kind of binding me? So I am sending you all so much love and light, pile number 3. If this reading was helpful to you, I would love it if you can like this video, subscribe to my channel. Feel free to leave a comment down below with what pile you picked and how it was for you. And also, if you're interested in a private reading, you can go to my website. The link's in the description, juliannefey.com. It should be below the timestamps, along with some other links if you'd like to leave a donation and other things. I always welcome donations. They always help a ton. And yeah, I'm sending you all so much love and light. I will also be moving on to some Astro shortly here. So if you are pile number 3 and you want to just roll right into that, stay tuned. Okay, I am back. So let's talk about the astrology of this new moon in Cancer solar eclipse craziness. I'm going to screen share here, and I want to show you guys the chart for this. So this is the chart that we have for this new moon solar eclipse. This is on very early morning on Sunday, June 21st. So this is at 2:41 a.m. So effectively very late Saturday night into Sunday. And we have, you know, what seems to be a fairly innocent chart, but the truth is we have to look much deeper here, you know, and we have to understand that there is a lot going on energetically. There's also been a lot going on energetically leading up to this point, and there will be a lot energetically going on after this point. So I think that that's also important to consider. It's like, it's not just that like the energy right now is intense. The energy has been intense for a couple weeks, and we're actually approaching a period of even more intensity with Jupiter and Pluto conjuncting each other at the end of June. If you're in my Astro Fairy group, my astrology membership group, I do talk quite a lot about that. So I would recommend check that out in the description of this video. You can go to my site, juliannefey.com/astro, and you can see about Astro Fairy. That's a great way for you to stay up to date, informed. Of course, I also do private astrology consultations where I can look in depth and give you advice about your chart. So we can see here that the sun and the moon are conjunct at 0 degrees. So this is the new moon. The reason why it's got this eclipse energy attached to it is because the south node moved into Sagittarius. We can see the, this chart is flipped. So I was like, the north node moved into Gemini, and the south node is in Sagittarius. So this particular new moon carries the energy of the north node in very late, the last degree of Gemini. So this is a sun, moon, north node situation going on. So what does that mean? Well, it means that hard facts could be coming up, that emotional facts almost, you know, and these could be facts about Cancerian things related to the mother, things related to children, you know. This is just like hard facts coming up, like, okay, I didn't fully realize that that was part of the story, but guess what? It is, you know. And there might have been ways that we were deluding ourselves, or maybe having like false beliefs about the situation, that maybe that could be believing it was going to change, or like believing that it was one way and then realizing like, okay, it's kind of not that way, you know? So Gemini is just this energy that's coming in with just curiosity and facts, but it's like, yes, this is the reality, you know? And this can be challenging because it can make that Cancerian energy feel threatened, and like, you know, there's a tendency with that Cancerian energy to nurture and to protect and to like be in that crabby shell, right? So this is like, it's a little bit unsettling, you know, because there's this information coming in that's actually showing you things that maybe you were like denying or suppressing before, and it's actually coming in like, you got to look at this. And this could also be things too with like how you nurture yourself, and, you know, your emotional relationship with mothers of all kinds. You know, this could be triggering a lot of awareness facts around mother wounding, or just in general, like the sense of nurturing and being nurtured. There's a lot of information coming up here about that. Of course, we're also in a Mercury retrograde, which started this week, and that is in Cancer. So our minds are thinking very Cancerian, which is adding to this as well. So it's like, you know, Gemini for Cancers is their 12th house, right, by solar method. So sometimes like the straight up facts about a situation could be a little bit elusive to them because it's landing in the 12th house, you know. So with this Mercury in Cancer, it's like there's this this Mercury retrograde in Cancer. It's like, again, you want to look at what house is Cancer for you, and, you know, what is aspected with Cancer in your chart. But there could be this tendency to be like, okay, well, you know, and I'm just going to love them anyway. And, you know, being like very soft shelled about it, right? But this particular eclipse is like, you know, like, hello, this is the reality. I need you to kind of confront this reality, and I need you to be clear on your feelings here. And these feelings are going to come out whether you like it or not. So this is unsettling energy, because Cancer is like, I would prefer to be safe and secure. And we have a lot of energy here that's like, look at the facts. Look at the facts, you know. We have the North Node there at the end of Gemini. We also have Venus retrograde still in Gemini. Those of you that have been following me in my email newsletters and in Astro Fairy, and, you know, even on my YouTube channel, you know, I've been talking about the Venus retrograde. I've been doing a special Venus retrograde astrology offering, which I will still do for people at probably a very discounted rate now. We'll just look at things more retroactively, which can be quite fun. I actually love looking at astrological things retroactively. So feel free to email me if you're interested in that. The link is in, or my email is in the description of this video. But this Venus in Gemini has been unearthing like hard facts, straight up facts about relationships in your life. You know, all kinds of relationships, friendships, familial relationships. It's the whole gamut, you know, networking, the people in work, colleagues, so much there. It's been unearthed. And, you know, so there's been so much here about like facts versus beliefs as well, with the nodes shifting signs. And then if we look deeper, we can see that Chiron is at 9 degrees of Aries. So, you know, this spot with the sun and the moon, it's a pretty wide orb, to be honest, but it still comes up there in a square. So this is like sun square Chiron, moon square Chiron. So this is feeling wounded, feeling like we don't have access to our personal freedoms, like we don't have access to our sense of individuality, feeling like we're not strong, feeling like we're not able to tap into this feeling of like leadership and like warrior woman, warrior, you know, man energy. We're not feeling like we can tap into that right now. It feels like there's like a wet, kind of like a wet cloth is like, you know, covering us, and like we can't shake it off, you know. It's so funny, I'm looking at this in the chart because I had a download come to me yesterday of this blog post I should write. And I think I'm going to really write that now because it's related to some things energetically about what I just said. So definitely stay tuned for that. It'll be on my site, and I'll probably announce it as well in the email newsletter if I get it ready in time. So be for sure signed up for my email newsletter, which you can just sign up for on my website, so you can be alerted when that goes live. But yeah, there's an energy here about feeling wounded, you know, and feeling like we don't have access to like all of our strength and our reserves of strength there. And it's sort of like interesting, you know, because with that Cancerian energy, it's like all it wants to feel is just like safe and secure. But there's a lot of pressure on it of like, yeah, I know you want to feel this way, and our minds are thinking that way with the Mercury retro, so we almost can't trust our minds in certain ways too, especially if it's related to like being over caring or over nurturing. We have to watch for the overdoing with that stuff. But this is a time for like, okay, I'm confronting facts, I'm confronting hard facts, I'm aware that these are my wounds, but I'm also going to acknowledge that yes, these are the hard facts and these are my wounds, and I'm also going to do the work that it's going to take, because the opposite of Cancer is Capricorn. So I'm going to do the hard work that it's going to take to move myself through these personal struggles based upon these areas that need healing. That's what Chiron is teaching us, what areas need healing. And then that North Node conjunct the Moon is teaching us like, okay, what emotional facts are you present to right now that you have to move forward with here? And that might just be something like a simple realization like, I realize this person's not going to change. How does that impact me? Okay, I have to adjust accordingly here. What can this person provide to you? Okay, I see that they can't show up in this way. All right, if they can't show up for me in this way, then I have to, you know, I have to take that for what it is instead of trying to like fix or change them and be like, okay, that's the reality. So there's a lot of reality confronting here. And it's uncomfortable because we want to just like, you know, we want to just kind of go into like this snuggly place and just be like, okay. Now, of course, because we're entering Cancer season, we're going to need to do some of that. We're going to need to do a lot of self-care, especially with a Mercury retrograde in Cancer. This is going to be all about self-care. So it's not to say that we're not doing that and we can't or shouldn't be doing that. It's just that this particular new moon with the solar eclipse, and this will be integrated for the next 2 weeks, is bringing up a lot about uncomfortable things that have to be addressed and have to be worked through. So at the same time that there's a desire to nurture and to implement self-care, there are lessons that have to be worked out even though they're uncomfortable. There's a big kind of theme here around feels uncomfortable, you know. Not to mention eclipses just bring chaotic energy, you know, in general. They really do. Of course, adding to this magnificent mess, we have Mars close to the end of Pisces, and Mars is still conjunct Neptune. It's ahead of it now, but Mars won't actually go into Aries for another week. Venus will also go direct. Venus will go direct in about another week as well. But of course, once it goes direct, it still has to pass through all of this energy that it retrograded back from, right? So it's going to take a lot of time for Venus to finally leave Gemini and go into Cancer. We're looking at like more than a month here, you know. So wherever Gemini is in your chart, you really got to understand what house is that for you and what aspects are there, because it's being quite activated right now in the astrology. So this Mars conjunct Neptune, it's definitely different now that Mars is ahead of Neptune, but it's still there. This sense of like wounded warriorness, unless we're approaching things from a place of spiritual warriordom, if that's a word, right? So this is like, sometimes the actions we have to take, we could feel like Mars in Pisces. I'm gonna take a sip of my limeade here. Mars doesn't really do too well in Pisces because it would prefer to be in, for example, Capricorn, or especially Aries. You know, I would say Capricorn and Aries are two places it likes. It loves Scorpio as well. It likes places in which it's free to push through and to move, to have freedom, and to get shiznit done. So in order to move and get stuff done, there needs to be a certain amount of clarity on what the plan is or what you're doing. Scorpio brings that because it carries this deep emotional intuition, you know. Capricorn brings it because it's, and also a little bit Mars and Taurus as well, you know, but really all of the earth signs Mars can do well in. It tends to have a unique relationship with Capricorn, though. It's kind of interesting. Even though Mars and Saturn don't like each other, when Mars is in Capricorn, it knows that it's going to have that stable structure to be able to keep going with it, you know, which it likes. When it's in Aries, it knows that it's going to be like, whoa, I'm free. Now, we are coming up on a Mars retrograde in the fall, which will be in Aries. So please be, you know, staying tuned on my channel and with my email newsletters for that. But the trouble with Mars in Pisces is just that it wants to do things, but it feels confused. It's like, oh, you know, I think I should be doing this, but I'd kind of rather check out and watch a movie. And like, there can be a little bit of this like indulgent quality to this Mars, but also it's just confused. And like, sometimes it's not always able to like assert itself. Now, with that being said, I'm thinking of a specific individual, a famous person that has Mars in Pisces, who is like a really amazing, super masculine man surfer dude. So I happen to know though that he has a lot of energy in Aries and he has a moon in Scorpio. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, as always, when I talk about generalizations of a particular sign and planet, because again, it depends on the whole chart, the holistic picture here, right? So these are generalizations about just this one aspect, but you could have other things in your chart that are more assertive and exacting, right? So keep that in mind. But as it, you know, and in that case too, because he's a surfer, he's in that Neptunian element. So it's like so perfect, you know, for Mars and Pisces, because it's like you get to assert your will within the realm of Neptune, which is, you know, who the ruler of Pisces is. So it's like a win-win. It's like you're doing the work in the right, you know, in the right uniform, if you will, instead of showing up to a sport where like you're wearing the wrong uniform or something. Like, so this Mars in Pisces, it's, you know, it's been a bit challenging here. It's been confused, not knowing what to take action on. This could be a sluggishness. I myself, I'm a really strong Virgo, and I've even been feeling that, where like sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of not doing things I could be doing, you know. This could be like procrastination energy, or just like, I could do that, I should do that, but you don't do it. But then you find like when you actually start it and do it a little bit, like, wow, the momentum just flows, you know. So it's really like about this just like confusion about what to do. So it's not so much that like the Mars and Pisces can't do it. It's just that initial like sense of like, yeah, I don't know. Once you get over that, you're good. And also what's been making it worse is the fact that Mars is conjunct Neptune, which adds double Neptune vibes. So this is adding even more confusion. So you might also be going through that, you know, and then of course, whatever house Pisces is for you would add to that story as well. Now, Mars will be moving into Aries coming up next week, along with Venus going direct, and that's going to change things up a bit. But you have to keep in mind that we have so many planets retrograde. We have Mercury in retrograde, Saturn's in retrograde, Jupiter's in retrograde. You can't see it because the R is obscured by this black line here, but Pluto is also in retrograde. You can see that down here with the R. And then, of course, Venus is in retrograde. So a lot of planets here are, you know, the angels are showing me this picture of like they're communicating with each other, but some of them are not like they're talking to each other like this. Some of them have like their back to the other one's front, like they're not facing each other like this, they're talking like this side by side. So the communication can be a little bit like wonky, you know, that even though there's harmony there, they're still like a little bit off. And that's because they're looking a little bit more inward at themselves instead of like more externally at, you know, the other. So there's a lot going on here, you know, and we also are approaching this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. We can see they're only 1 degree away. So for all intents and purposes, this conjunction's already here. It's only going to get a little bit more intense, you know. So this is like an intensification of like, you know, this can be an intensification of fear and power, control, but at the same time, perseverance, strength, as well as transformation. So this is like looking at the structures in your life and how do you need to expand and grow and change to transform those structures. This could be like an intense feeling of personal pressure. Again, depending what Capricorn is for you in your chart, what house it is, how it's aspecting your personal planets. This is like an intense sense of personal pressure to transform in whatever area that is in your chart, you know? So there's pressure there, persistent pressure. That pressure will be on and off all year until we get to December of this year when we move into more Aquarian energies there. So that's going on in the background, you know, and that's of course operating also at a global scale because we have all of these things going on globally as well. So we're dealing with that, but then also with this new moon in Cancer, it's like we're having to confront some hard facts, and this is uncomfortable. We partially feel like we don't have the strength to deal with these things, or we just feel really hurt and wounded by them, this Chiron and Aries. And then we're also kind of like, okay, well, I'm kind of confused about what I should be doing here to solve this. So what do we do to rectify this? Well, we have to work the opposing energy, right? So whenever we get too stuck in one side of a chart, we have to look at the other side. So, you know, the opposite of Aries is Libra. So maybe if we're feeling wounded because we can't take action like as defiantly and as courageously as we would like, maybe we need to take a moment to like make a fair assessment and be diplomatic with ourselves and with other people about this wound. How can I approach this from a place of like peace and diplomacy, you know? Maybe I do need to kind of consider both sides. Maybe I need to take some time and I need to do some research, Gemini, right? I need to do some research. I need to gather some facts, and then I can approach the situation with facts and diplomacy, and I can begin to heal these personal wounds, you know? Also looking at things like this very early degree Cancer. So we have this like sense of discomfort because we want to be able to just feel safe and comfortable. Well, sometimes the way that we can feel more safe and comfortable is by setting up better structures in our life, you know, and that's what Capricorn's about, is building. So how can you roll out a new plan here? What is a plan you could start working and operating to start getting to where you want to be, you know, that will actually ultimately make you feel safe and comfortable, but you might have to just start nudging yourself on that plan along the way, you know. So I hope that it was enjoyable for you all. If you made it through the pick a card as well as the Astro, I'm so happy you did, and I'm sending you so much love and light for being present to look at all these energies for you. And I would love, love, love if you enjoyed this. If you can like this video, feel free to comment down below how this video was for you, and also subscribe to my channel. Please, please make sure that you are signed up to my email newsletter, which is accessible from my website, juliannefey.com. That's the best place to learn when I'm doing specials, as well as like even better than social media right now, because I have a couple things going on personally that are taking me off social media. So I would recommend that you really subscribe to my email newsletter. I pretty much try to send them out every 2 weeks, roughly around the new and the full moons. So you'll get plugged into what's the latest in energy with that, any, you know, specials I'm doing, as well as new blog posts, like so many good things, you know. So please make sure that you're signed up to my email newsletter. And if you're interested in a private astrology reading with me or a private card reading with me, you can also view all of that on my site, juliannefey.com, and you can check out my prices and all of those things there. And yeah, so sending you all so much love and light. I will stop screen sharing here. And I hope that you guys have an enjoyable new moon solar eclipse situation. Come back to this video, rewatch this video as you need, so you can receive the healing and the support that you need. This is here for you to come back to. I know I come back to my own videos, so please do that. Much love, everyone.